like I said, today we're going to start working on ratio and rate word problems. So we're going to use what we've learned through this whole unit and use them on word problems. Okay, so let's go to number 1. Okay, and it says, Ellie is making guacamole. How many of you have had guacamole before? How many of you have made your own guacamole? It's pretty simple to make your own guacamole. You just have to make sure you use the right ratios. Okay? No, just me. Okay. So, Eli uses 2 tablespoons of cilantro for every 3 avocados. So, in that one sentence right there, what are the 2 things that we are comparing together? Cilantro and avocado. So your first step when doing any sort of word problem is to find the 2 things that you're comparing and write one on top of the other like as a ratio. So I would write cilantro over avocado. Those are the 2 things that we're comparing. We're comparing cilantro to avocado because I need to make sure I have the right cilantro to avocado ratio. So what is the ratio that he gave you in the first sentence? So 2 tablespoons of cilantro for every what? How do I write that as a ratio? 2 over 3. Because I have 2 cilantro for 3 avocados. Questions on that, anyone? So first step, figure out what 2 things you're comparing and write it down as a fraction. And then give me the first ratio that they give you. Then it says, at this rate, how many tablespoons of cilantro will he need for 9 avocados? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write equals and a line. What is the other number that they gave us? 9. 9 what? So do my 9 avocados go on top of my fraction or do my 9 avocados go on bottom of my fraction? Bottom, because avocados are on bottom. I need to keep them on bottom. Do I know how much cilantro is needed for those 9 avocados? And if I don't know the answer, what do I put in its place? A variable. So I'm going to put a C for cilantro. Okay, so now we solve. Okay, now we solve. Any questions on how we set it up? Now, how have I taught you guys how to solve something like this? How could I solve this? Cooper? Yes, we used our ratio tables. You guys remember ratio tables? And we found equivalent ratios. So everyone grab a different color. How did we get, or how could we get, guys, from 3 to 9? What do we do, everyone? What do we do, everyone? Excellent. And what's the rule? Whatever we do on bottom, we have to do on. So that means I have to do 2 times 3. And what's 2 times 3, everyone? And it's a word problem, which means I have to make sure I always do what? Label. Now, C is on top, so what are we talking about? So 6, it's not 6 cilantro, it's 6 tablespoons of cilantro. Yes, Connor. You could write that, you just don't need that. But yes, I would still accept that answer, okay, Connor? So that is how you solve a problem when it's Simple. That's like what I call the simple problems because it works perfectly. Do you see how it worked perfectly? Are all problems going to work perfectly? Unfortunately not. That's the worst part about it. Okay, let's go do number 2. So we're talking about marbles. So the ratio of blue marbles to white marbles in a bag is 4 to 5. What 2 things are we comparing, everyone? Blue marbles to white marbles. So I'm going to write blue over white because we're talking about blue-white. What is our original ratio, you guys, of blue marbles to white marbles? What is it, everyone? So I would write 4 over 5 because I have 4 blue marbles to 5 white marbles. Just like in the last problem, we wrote that equal to with a line. Then it says, at this rate, how many blue marbles are there if there are 15 white marbles? What number did they give us? Now, does 15 go on top or does 15 go on bottom? Why on bottom? Because we're talking about white marbles. What goes on top? A variable. I'm going to put a B because we're talking about blue marbles. Is this an easy problem? So easy problems mean that I can figure out how do I go from 5 to 15. And if I multiply by 3 on bottom, what do I have to do on top? So 4 times 3 is 12 what? Blue marbles. Yes, Eva. What do you think? You don't have homework today, but when you get homework, what do you think? It's going to be like word problems. Yeah. Okay. I say that those are easy problems because what do you notice about these 2 fractions? They are in what form? So easy problems are typically in simplest form. Harder problems are typically not in simplest form. Does that make sense? So if a ratio is not in simplest form, what do you think the first thing you should do is? Put it in simplest form. Make your life easier. So let's go do number 3. Ellie must mix 6 tablespoons of plant food for every 2 gallons of water. What 2 things are we talking about and comparing? Okay, so I'm going to write plant food over water. Those are the 2 things that we are comparing. Everyone write down the ratio that they give you in the first sentence. What ratio did they give me, everyone? So 6 tablespoons of plant food for 2 gallons of water. Now, what did we just talk about? You must simplify to make your life easier. So everyone, simplify that ratio. Simplify that fraction for me. What do we get, everyone? How did we get that? We divided each by 2. We simplified. So that means that every 3 tablespoons of plant food, you need 1 gallon of water. Any questions so far? Okay, then let's keep reading. It says, if she has 6 gallons of water, how much plant food does she need? So what number do they give me, everyone? They give me 6. 6 what? Does gallons of water go on top or does gallons of water go on bottom? So I'm going to put 6 on bottom. What's going to go on top? Variable. So I'll put a P for plant food. You can do whatever variable you want. I'm not going to take off points if we have different variables. Okay, guys, so now how do we get from 1 to 6? And whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the So what is P gonna equal? 18 what? What's my label? Tablespoons of plant food. Any questions so far? Those have been ratio word problems, guys. So we've been working on ratios so far. Yes. It can be on top too. It just depends on whatever they give you. Great question. Did that make sense, guys? That number can be either on top or on bottom. It all just depends on whatever numbers they give you. Okay. I want you and the person that you are sitting with, you are going to skip number 4 and you are going to go to number 5. Go do number 5 together for me, please, and thank you. All right. Number 2, what are the 2 things that we are comparing in problem 5? So hopefully we all wrote hops over seconds. Yes, everyone? 15, what's my original ratio? Perfect. So there are 24 hops in 30 seconds. So 18, what's the first thing you did with that ratio?
Wait, never mind. So I put 15 on.
Okay, but before that, what should I always do with all of my ratios? Simplify it. So what is it in simplest form? And 12/15 can be simplified again? Yep, but not by 2.
Oh, yeah.
So if you get 12 over 15, what can that be simplified to? Yep. Perfect. Very nicely done, Cooper. So there we go. Put it in simplest form. Make your life easier, right, guys? Okay, 24. What do I do now? What variable did you use? Perfect. 19. How did you get from 5 to 50? So what do I have to do on top? So everyone, what is my answer? Not per second. That would be really hard. Just 40 hops. It's 40 hops in 50 seconds. So it's 40 hops. So you don't need the seconds part because they gave you the seconds. They're just asking you how many hops. So just hops. Questions, you guys? Okay, go to the next page. We'll come back to number 4 a little bit later. Okay, Okay, do number 6 with your partner, please. Go. Number 9. What two things are we comparing on number 6? Okay, so perfect. So the way that I'm gonna write it, you could have written it however you wanted to. I'm gonna put number correct because it's how many correct he got out of the total of questions on the test. So that's how your guys' tests are written. It's however many you got right out of however many total points are on that test or quiz. Yes. I would think so. This is kind of a weird one for how you would write it. So as long as you're labeling correct in the end, that's the most important. Number 5. How did you write the first ratio?
12
Excellent. 12 correct out of 15 total. Number 14. What's the first thing you did? Eva, you are 14. What's the first thing you did?
You simplify.
What did you get when you simplified?
I got 4 over 5.
How did you get 4 over 5? Excellent. Number 1. What do you do now?
Now, you put variable over.
And what variable did you use? Perfect. You can use any variable you want, guys. 11. What do I do now? Which is? So what do we do? Excellent. Everyone, what's my answer? 20 problems. 20 problems. Correct. Something along those lines. There's a couple of different labels that I would accept on that one. Okay, guys? Good job. How are we feeling about this so far? Okay, do number 7 with your partner. Go. Here we go. 25. What are the two things we are comparing? Okay, so when we're talking about this one, you're right. The bottom is like total games. And the top should be games won. Because you're talking about how many games you won out of how many total games you played. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. 16. How'd you set up that original ratio?
12 over 14.
Excellent. 4. What did you do first? Yep. What do you do now, girl? And what do you get? Very good. 6 over 7. That's all I needed, girl. Excellent job. 20. What do you do now? Where? Top or bottom?
On the bottom.
And what goes on top? And what variable did you choose, girl? Perfect. 17. What do you do now? Very good. So what's my answer, everyone? So 18 wins, 18 games won, something along that line, but you have to use the word win or won somewhere in there to make sure you know specifically we're talking about how many games they won out of 21. How are we doing, guys? Okay, we're going to do one more problem and then we'll be done for the day. So do number 8 with your partner, please go. Okay, number 3, what are we comparing? Corn and peppers. Well, what's my first ratio? 16/18. Excellent job. 8 should I do? I'm going to do what to simplify? Very good. What do you get? 8/9. Excellent. Okay. Now what? Number 13?
You do 9 times 1, and then you do 4, no. So 0 equals sign, and put the 1 on the bottom.
And what goes on top? And what's my variable? What'd you choose? Excellent. So guys, what do you notice on this problem? You already did it, right? What is my answer? 8 what? All right, guys, what questions do I have?